Okay, I think I might have found one of the most interesting Reddit stories I've read in a very long time. Hi there, I really wish I didn't have to make this post, but here it goes. So me and my husband have been happily married for about 16 years, give or take. We both have stable careers, good family life, and are fairly fortunate despite the cost of living racking the UK right now. We have two boys, 15 and 10, and up until this Sunday, thought we had it pretty good. We argue sometimes, of course, but never gotten too bad, and we have a pretty decent sex life with some exploration, but I won't get into that. Well, just from reading that, I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty normal family in the UK. Alright, let's continue. Long and short is, on Sunday, just after I dropped our boys off at their friends, my husband asked me if we had the house alone, and more importantly, do I have a minute? I said yes, and he sat me down, then got out this printed poster of some sort of orgy and started explaining to me the concept of a gaycation. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Homie had a poster already locked and loaded? Like, what the, how long was he planning this for? Because a lot of you know, like back in school, or if you guys are in school right now, you guys know how long those posters be taking. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they be taking a little minute, maybe like 1 or 2 days to make a pretty solid poster. You know what? I wonder if she has a picture of the poster. Nah, she probably wasn't gonna post it. But nah, homie had the poster locked and loaded. Are you serious? How it's where straight men go to somewhere with sun, sand, and booze and become gay for the duration of the trip. But that's fine because it doesn't actually count. Because what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation. I was just completely silent and mortified, even more so when he said he was looking into booking a trip to Ibiza next year with his brother-in-law, his sister's husband, to experience it for himself. Alright bro, now you're doing too much, bro. This is such a over-explanatory way of just saying that you're gay. Like bro, if you're gay, then just say you're gay, you know what I mean? Like, matter of fact, Will in Stranger Things, when he had that coming out scene, that was way better than what homie is doing here. When he finally let me speak, I just said I need him to be clear with me. Is he gay? Because if yes, that's okay, but we need to figure out what's happening going forward. I didn't let myself get angry or upset, I was just stunned. He swore up and down how he's not gay and he's 100% attracted to women, and of course still loves me and our boys. So I said, well, do you think you're bi maybe? And he got very defensive, saying how I need to drop the accusations and that this is the beauty of the gaycation. It allows straight men to experience gayness without actually being gay, and how it's like going to an aquarium. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. So the minute that his wife is like, oh, you might be gay, he's like, no, I'm not. It's just part of the experience, you know, like that's just how it is. But the minute that she says, well, you might be bi, honey, he gets all defensive and angry. Like, hold up, bro. Like, some ain't had enough here, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in here, compa. Like, you might be bi, homie. Like, you might be bi, bro. All right, let's continue. And again, he was adamant he doesn't find men's bodies or genitalia exciting at all, but he needs to experience this apparently. I said, well, I'm not really comfortable with this because even if he was bi, this would be explicitly cheating on me, and he got angry and reiterated he's not because, quote unquote, that's the beauty of the gaycation, etc. I just had enough and left the room. Okay, homie is not really making sense here, I'm not gonna lie, because the way he's like describing this whole situation is like how I would be describing to my fiance if I could have a boys trip in Vegas, you know what I mean? Like it really doesn't, it's not gonna say, you know what, let me just show you. Hey babe, can we just talk for a second?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so I was thinking about going on a trip, right?
Oh my gosh, we definitely need to go on a trip.
Oh, so you speak French now? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, some weed. No, I think I'm gonna go on a trip, okay? So me and the boys were talking and we were thinking of going to Vegas, okay? We're gonna take a trip to Vegas.
Okay, now wait a minute, hold on. Did you really just say boys and Vegas in the same sentence? No.
Okay, now before you're set on that, no, hear me out, just hear me out, okay? We're thinking of going to Vegas, right? But we're calling it a vacation. You get it? Because, you know, we put Vegas and vacation.
I know why you called it that, okay? But listen, I don't trust your friends, okay? I trust you, but what if your 10 Don Julio's in, right? And then this girl just starts hitting on you.
Well, I won't fold.
Margot Robbie walks in.
Babe, I still wouldn't.
You see?
Babe, come on, I'm just playing. No, I'm not gonna fold, okay? Look, even if I did fold, you know what I mean? You know what they say, what happens in Vegas? Well, go ahead. You're not gonna finish it? Okay. Well, it stays in Vegas, you know? And that's just the beauty of the vacation, you know? It's technically not cheating because it's the vacation, you know?
Get out!
I ignored him for the rest of the day, but we spoke at tea where I again asked him, why does he want to do this so bad if he's not gay? He said how he's interested in how gay men's life differ to straight men's, and that unfortunately, once the gaycation begins, it's simply impossible for a man to resist, and he must surrender himself mind, body, and soul to the gaycation or be destroyed. I really can't put into words how surreal it was because he was speaking so matter-of-factly, and he again insists this is a thing that straight men do all the time and how he's actually quote-unquote doing it a bit late. I just said to him, if he has any love for me, then he can't go ahead with this, and if he does, the marriage will be dead. We didn't speak anymore after that. Since then, he's mentioned no more of it, but somehow, and this is what scares me a lot too, that decision genuinely seems to be tearing him up. He didn't go into work on Monday and only went in half day yesterday because he told me he just felt too ill and he just looks distraught every time I see him. I really don't think he's wholly gay though. I can absolutely believe he's bi, but I'd rather we talked about that in a healthy way rather than this incredibly weird denialism around going on a sex holiday to Ibiza. You see, now I'm a little concerned. Like, now I'm really concerned because if he's really calling out of work, he's literally calling out of work, going in half day, saying he's ill just because of this whole situation. I don't know, something's going on behind the scenes, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, does he have a little something going on with his sister's husband? Because the way he's acting makes it seem like he is, you know what I mean? Because is he like asking his wife to go on this trip with him, like asking for permission? Wait, but then again, why would he word it as a gaycation? You know what I mean? Because if he really was trying to go be alone with his sister's husband, I mean, he definitely wouldn't word it like that, right? Because he could just say, oh, like me and my boy Mike are gonna go to like Ibiza and just catch a vibe, you know what I mean? Because if they really wanted to keep it a secret, that's how they would do it, you know? Because I mean, nobody would think anything of it. They'd be like, oh, like the boys are just gonna go on a trip, you know, nothing too crazy. But the fact that he worded it as a gaycation, it kind of makes it seem like he's digging himself in a deeper hole. But I don't know. I haven't read the rest of the story. Let's continue. Has anyone known straight guys to do this and come back and just go back to being straight? Like, surely that can't be a thing that happens. I'm so out of my depth here, and I just don't know how to even initiate the conversation. For the record, I also haven't mentioned it to his sister yet. I don't know how I'd even break it to her. Thanks for any help. I just don't even know what to think. So being able to get this out there has helped even just a little bit. Well, there you have it, you guys. That is her story about how her husband wants to go on this gaycation with his brother-in-law. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, you know what I mean? But I really need to know if there's some updates on this, you know? But lucky for you guys, there is an update. Let's go read it. Wow, this blew up. This has been incredibly sobering, and I think I've now confirmed what I already knew to be the case. The marriage is dead one way or another. In a way, I was in denial myself about that. I've contacted my sister-in-law, and she initially screamed at me, calling me a liar, and even insinuated I was trying to steal her husband. She rang back shortly after, apologized, and admitted she was in deep shock. I have asked my parents to look after the boys, and we're going to meet tomorrow to discuss this deeper. I have also texted my husband and told him we need to make alternative accommodation arrangements, but he will not be sleeping here tonight, and a bag will be waiting for him. All right, yeah, that's what I was expecting. Matter of fact, I think that's what we were all expecting. You know, the marriage obviously wasn't going to work out after that, you know, and not because, you know, he might be gay, because earlier she did say that she would be okay with that, but obviously, you know, he wouldn't be attracted to her, obviously, you know. But the fact that he pretty much asked permission to go cheat on her, but the fact that it was with another man, you know, like the same gender, that I don't know, in his mind he thought it was all good, you know what I mean? But come on, bro, like once you brought up the word gaycation, like it's raps, bro. Like it's raps from there, you know what I mean? Like they ain't coming out of that one, you know. Now wait a minute, because earlier she said that they have 2 kids together, right? But how would you break the ice to them about what's going on? You know what I mean? Like how would you word it? You know, matter of fact, this is how I think it would go down.
Mom, where's Dad? Oh, yeah, listen, so Dad is not gonna be staying with us anymore, okay?
What? Why?
Well, because he just needs his own space to figure out who he is, if you know what I mean.
But he's Dad.
No, he's gay! I'm sorry. Well, I mean, cat's out of the bag. Yeah, your dad is gay, okay?
Wait. Really?
Yes, he is, okay? And it's really nothing wrong, you know, but it's just clearly not gonna work out between me and your dad, so he's gonna take some time away, all right?
Wait, Mom, I have something to tell you.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, you remember that one time Aunt Marissa and her husband came over? Well, I remember that Dad and her husband Mike, they went to go play pool in the garage.
Okay, and?
Well, I was gonna go in there to ask Dad a question, but I wanted to scare them, so I slowly opened the door and took a peek, and I saw that they were wrestling.
Wait, are you serious, sweetheart? Oh my gosh, those pool balls weren't the only balls being played with that night.
What did you say? I couldn't hear you, Mom.
Oh, nothing, sweetheart. I said nothing, but listen, Thank you for telling me that, sweetheart.
I'd contacted my husband to tell him he wouldn't be staying at home tonight and a bag will be waiting for him. As you can imagine, we argued quite badly. I won't go into specific details, but no, I'm 100% on board with the fact at a minimum he's bi, might be even gay altogether. We've had arguments in the past, but I've genuinely never seen him have such a childish tantrum before, screaming about how I just don't understand, quote unquote, the gaycation. Absolutely despise that phrase now. And insinuating I'm actually homophobic because I refuse to allow him to participate in this quote unquote cultural exchange with the gay community. So he's gaslighting her now? What the? A lot of you said to ask him if it'd be acceptable if the roles were in reverse, and I did say would it be acceptable if I went in and slept with other guys during that week. Like fucking clockwork, he was very angry and offended, saying it's completely different because a gaycation means nothing and what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation, etc. So it doesn't actually count. Whereas I'd rather be straight up cheating. Well, I turn it around on him. No, because what happens in Manchester stays in Manchester. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't count. It's like bird watching, quote unquote. And I think it got through to him. He went all quiet and then he started crying, admitting that the thought of me sleeping with another man is destroying his heart. But quote unquote, relationships need sacrifices. So agreed, while in tears, that when he goes on the gaycation, I'll get 1 week in Manchester to do whatever I want. He doesn't want me to, but that's quote unquote fair in a twisted way, he supposed. I told him to get out of my house. Thankfully, he left without a fight. What the? Okay, it's the fact that he was even like cool with her going out for a week in Manchester to go do whatever she wants? Clearly he doesn't love her, bro, because what do you mean? He's talking about my heart hurts the thought of you being with another man, and then he's like 2 seconds later he's like, but if you want, I mean, you let me go and I'll let you go, you know, so it's all good, you know, like what? Hey, but you know what though, I am so glad that the wife stood up for herself. You know, she flipped the script on his ass, you know what I mean? Give him a taste of his own medicine, you know? Homie was not gonna get away with gaslighting her and telling her that this is a good thing to do. Like, nah, she flipped it on him, and I am so glad she did. Matter of fact, I know it's incredibly petty, but I also drained the joint bank account, legal in the UK, so he couldn't try to use it against me. About an hour later, I got rang up by his mom, my mother-in-law, who just screamed and screamed at me about being a cheating whore, how it was horrible, what about the kids, etc, etc. When I finally got my composure back, I just said, ask your son about the gaycation. Obviously, at first, she got angry, but I said, no, just ask him about quote-unquote the gaycation. He'll explain, but she called me a fucking joke and hung up. Later on, getting into the evening, I got another phone call from her, floods of tears. She was very apologetic, and I told her she didn't need to be the one to apologize. She was so upset, she even put my father-in-law on the phone, who, while he sounded calm, I could just sort of tell he was on the warpath. Again, very apologetic, and said he overheard the phrase, asked my husband, and my husband initially said, no, it's nothing, before explaining how it's a, quote-unquote, a modern thing men to do, and gave him the same spiel about how what happens at the gaycation, men cannot resist the gaycation, how a man must surrender to the gaycation, etc. My father-in-law just said they told him to leave or they'd call the police. Don't care where he goes, but he wasn't staying there. My husband tried to call me while I was on the phone, but I just ignored it, and my father-in-law just said he was so sorry for me and that they're in my corner on this, so that's one thing. I told him just to be there for their daughter because it sounds like my brother-in-law is involved. My husband didn't tell them that, and my father-in-law just said that he had to go because he was so angry. Now it sounds like we're in a cult. Like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Now it sounds like we're in some sort of cult, you know? And obviously, when you're saying it like that, obviously your family's gonna give you one of these. They're gonna give you one of, you know, they're gonna give you a little side eye, bro, because what are you talking about right now, bro? But can you imagine how, like, this conversation would have went down? Like, just imagine.
Okay, son, what is going on right now? Why are you not with your family? Matter of fact, what is your wife talking about? She's telling me about some gaycation you're talking about? What is that?
Yes, father, gaycation is the word.
Oh, so she wasn't lying? Wow, I thought she was lying. What is that?
Well, father, just to be clear, I'm not gay.
Okay, look, I don't have a problem with you being gay, all right? But I mean, the word gaycation, you know, it literally says gay in the name, you know what I mean? So, like, what exactly is going on here? Like, what's happening?
Well, you see, father, what happens at the gaycation stays at the gaycation. You must not resist the gaycation, and as a man, you must surrender to the gaycation, father.
All right, now hold up. Is this just another word for freak offs? Is that what we're calling it? I'm gonna get out.
I got a text from my husband after the phone call, which was all weirdly rambly, saying about how I'd abused the gaycation to quote-unquote destroy his marriage and destroy his life, and again insinuated I, and his parents, was homophobic for doing such a thing. I told him we'll talk when he grows up, and I blocked his number. I'll take a day off work myself to have the locks changed this morning, so that's 500 pounds gone, but whatever, at least I know he won't be coming back. I'm going to look at how to proceed with the divorce, and then we'll move on from there. Oh, of course, there's also the brother-in-law. So I haven't yet met with my sister-in-law. She was in such a state and has taken this far worse than I have, for reasons that'll be clear soon. We're gonna maybe try tomorrow, but we did talk over the phone, and I eavesdropped on the conversation with her husband where she put her phone on speaker and I went on mute. Her husband got home earlier. She made him come home, told him there was an emergency, and just said to him, "Can you please explain what a gaycation is?" She told me afterwards she was praying he'd look confused or just be like, "What?" or anything like that, but instead he just sat her down and explained that a gaycation is a new thing where straight men go to gay hotspots and participate in gay sex acts, but it doesn't count because there's no investment, and because what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation. He said it's like writing down angry thoughts and putting them in a drawer. You quote unquote never have to see them again. The whole time sister-in-law is in tears as he just calmly bats off the same points my husband did about how it doesn't count, and he even did the whole "it's impossible to resist, you must surrender or be destroyed" shit. I seriously think they must be speaking to a dominatrix or something. Are there even male doms? Because surely neither of them are that into this to actually make that up on their own. I really don't want to go into what was discussed for her sake, but it did become very apparent to me that my brother-in-law is into sissy hypno and at times conflated that with the concept of a gaycation. Hey, you know what? I kind of like the sister-in-law. She really doesn't give a fuck, you know? She literally made him get out of work for an emergency and was just like, what the hell is a gaycation? But I'm not gonna lie, I also had the same reaction too, you know, like as a sister-in-law, like he really wasn't like, what are you talking about? Or like, what are you saying right now? No, he was literally like, yeah, a gaycation, you know, it's where a lot of guys go to Ibiza and just kind of do stuff with each other. Yeah, what about it? Like, what? But he was also talking about some like, you must surrender to the gaycation and like, you cannot resist. Like, you know, like he was speaking like that, like the homie was, you know, husband, you know, so it's like, something's going on here. Something's going on, you know what I mean? Because they're speaking like there's some kind of cult, you know? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? I know I'm not tripping. Let me know down in the comments down below. Like, there was this utterly surreal moment where my sister-in-law is just trying to wrap her head around this while also in floods of tears, and he explains so genuinely, so matter-of-factly that, quote-unquote, for most men, the gaycation is either a one-time or annual thing, but some men go on gaycation for years, and others simply never return because they use hypnosis and mind control to be totally feminized into a state of permanent pseudo-gayness. She said in disbelief, surely if you're taking it up the ass willingly because you want to, that makes you gay. And he said no, because that's the beauty of the gaycation. You can do all this gay stuff, but you don't interact with the quote-unquote wider gay life experience. She asked him if the sissy stuff is what he wanted, and he said, well, not on a long-term basis, and was adamant this is something all straight men do, but she wouldn't get it because she's a woman. Then there were more insinuations of homophobia. Well, that marriage is dead too, I suppose. The whole ordeal ended when she said to him he has a choice to make, and he said no, he doesn't need to make this choice because the beauty of the gaycation is that it allows him to keep his marriage because it doesn't count. She said that's not the choice. The choice is whether he's leaving the house that night or she is. Only good thing he did was leave. Me and my sister-in-law spoke about it after that, and I'm just still utterly stunned. I understand she's gone to her parents for the support, but what exactly did we do to have our lives destroyed in such an abrupt, bizarre, embarrassing way? For some advice, I'm going to look at devices and bank statements to see if I can find any definitive proof of cheating. After that, I suppose figure out how I tell the boys why their father won't be coming home. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Probably one of the most interesting, most wild Reddit stories I've read in a very long time. And also, real quick, there is another edit. Hold on, let me read this to you guys. Hold on. Okay, so I have the story pulled up right here, but I gotta read this to you guys, okay, like word for word, because it's kind of wild on this edit. Okay, so hold on, let me read this to you guys. So basically, the wife asked one of her husband's other sisters, because I think he had two sisters. Yeah, he asked one of the sisters about this gaycation thing. So she was like, whoa, I have literally never heard of that. Like, what are you talking about? So she asked her husband, keep in mind, this is one of the other sisters, right? Because she's married. So she asked her husband about this whole gaycation thing, if he knew anything about that, and he was like, what the hell are you talking about? That was a gaycation, you know what I mean? This is where it gets kind of wild, okay? So hear me out. But it turns out that a couple years ago, the original husband, so like the main husband of the story, he and the brother-in-law, basically the ones who were talking about like this whole time, you know, like the ones who wanted to go to Ibiza, you know, the ones that we've been talking about this whole time, they asked him to sign up for this online boot camp for basically going on a gaycation, and he was just like, The fuck y'all talking about, bruh? Like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna do that. Can you guys believe that? So yeah, the brother-in-law and the husband, like the original brothers who wanted to go to this like gaycation, they try to bring the other brother-in-law in on this, but then he was like, y'all tripping, I'm not doing that. Like, I also find it really funny because the sister-in-law, she was just like, if you go on this gaycation, like it's pretty much cheating on me, you know, you're gonna ruin the marriage. And then he was like, no, it's not, because in the rules of the gaycation, it says that I can still keep my marriage even while doing stuff with other dudes, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't apply to the wife at all. Like, it's just all on him. Like the wife isn't gonna make the decisions here, you know? Like, all right, you guys, that's gonna be the video for today. If you guys did enjoy, it would really mean a lot to me if you guys hit that sub button down below, and also hit that little bell so you guys don't miss out on any more of my future videos. I also really want to know you guys' opinions on this Reddit story, so put it down in the comments down below. What do you guys think? Like, do you actually think that the husband was in the right, or do you think that the wife, you know, she was in the right? Because I don't know. Me personally, I mean, I think the wife was in the right. You know, I don't know what he was talking about. It's like, if you really are gay, bro, like that's what's up. That's who you are, but the fact that you're trying to like cheat on your wife and still stay with her, like, I don't know, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, something ain't going on. It sounds like a cult to me, in my opinion, but I want to know what you guys think too. So all right, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I hope you guys have a great day today, and I will catch you guys in the next one.